Coming up this week on the Digital Lifestyle Show 863, Gary's here, and we've got a lot of smart home stuff to talk with this week. Got some new gadgets, some new device, portable lights, battery powered lights, smart home lights. We've got a lot of smart home stuff to talk about, smart tags as well. We're going to be talking about new build Windows 11 with new widgets, especially interesting for gamers, and lots more. So let's get straight to Gary. Gary, good evening.
Good evening.
And a nice warm British summer evening tonight, actually.
Yeah, it's lovely out.
Yeah, and I think Richard's taking the time as it's a summer evening now. I don't know what he's doing, but he said he's doing like looking after his kids or something. But I'm sure he's playing with Lego or something like that.
Yeah, launching into Lego into space. He's building a new satellite telescope or something out of Lego.
Yeah. So welcome to another show. Because it's summertime, it's fairly quiet on the news front, but we have got some interesting things we wanted to talk about this week, and some follow on from the discussion we had about the EVs last week as well. So yeah, always an interesting topic as well. So I've got some more stuff to review, but the next one I've got is a MIDI cable. These things have got so simple and small nowadays. I mean, I've still got wiring down there, an old Roland UMT1, I think it is, something like that, MIDI interface. I'm still using it, and it's so old I have to put the Windows XP driver on in Windows 10. It's not easy. It's got two MIDI interfaces on it, so I can control two keyboards on it. But what I have been testing, I've got another one of these, and this is just a USB to MIDI. So it's quite a lot of synths nowadays have samplers and controllers all have USB ports built into them, as do a couple of mine, and even drum machines do. But to actually control it via MIDI as well is good for the legacy stuff. So that's what I'm going to be testing with. So I've got a 1984 TX7 up there, which I'll control from that. So don't take drivers and things like that anymore. These are all class compliant as well, hopefully. So that's what I'll be testing. But I did test the smart light last week, so I posted a video of that, and I really like this light actually. It's got lots of different modes on it that you can control through the app. Some have got different interesting names. There's a romance mode, which you can't quite tell from probably on the video, but it actually has got gradients built into it. It's not just a single color. There's sort of different gradient modes built into it, and you can see it's changing, but it's got quite a lot of different modes in it. But what I was most impressed with was really is how simple it was to get set up. Normally these things are a bit of a pain, and when you're doing the video review, quite a lot of time I've ended up doing a bit of start-stop to you can't get it on the network, and you can't let that. So for this one, it was just a question of powering it up, open the Wiz app, Wiz Connect app for the Play Store, and it said add a light, and it said, do you want to add the mobile? And that was it. I didn't have to do anything else. I said yes. It asked me to put the Wi-Fi key in, because it detected the Wi-Fi I was on. Put that key in, and that was it. And it was working, and it took 2-3 minutes. And I've got one of the smart plugs as well, and that was just as quick. And it remembered the Wi-Fi key from when I set the light up. So it was probably the fastest setting up of a smart plug that I've done. Some you've had to jump through some real hoops to get working. You have to create their own Wi-Fi bridge. I'm not sure what technology they were using to do whether they're using Wi-Fi direct, or I don't think it's Bluetooth. So I'm presuming it's some kind of Wi-Fi. But some devices you have to actually come off your own network and join their network if you know what I mean. So they've got a Wi-Fi. You from your phone, you have to leave your home Wi-Fi, join their Wi-Fi, put your Wi-Fi details in, reboot the thing. No rebooting, nothing, just straight in. So
yeah.
And of course, the great thing about it is it's completely portable. So I can stick this anywhere. So especially in the summertime, you can be out in the evening in the garden, take this with you, and it's not just a normal light; it's a smart light. So you can control it. You put the different ambiances on it. As you can see, this is cycling through it. But you've got rhythms, scenes, schedules. It's got rooms and that kind of thing. So it's in fireplace mode at the moment. That's what it's cycling through. But perhaps we should have party mode. I'll skip I'll skip romance mode for
Yeah,
for
we don't
tonight.
have any romance tonight.
Rich is not here, so that would be unfair. So it's in party mode, and then you can control the speed of it and all that kind of thing. So, and of course, it all works through the usual smart home devices. So the Amazon one and Google Play. In fact, the Amazon one was really easy to set up. I think quite often you have to go onto the Amazon app, find the skill, install the skill, sign in with the account that you used earlier on. If on that wizard thing, I actually haven't created an account yet. You don't even need to create an account, and I didn't need to create an account. You just clicked on the Amazon button in the Wiz app, and it opened the Amazon app. Said, "Do you want to enable the skill?" Said yes, and that was it. So there was no account linking or anything else like that. So it was on straight away, and I think it's called mobile. So I could I won't do it now because it'll tree everybody's devices, won't it? But I can turn it off through the voice. I can turn it on through the voice, and it's got a button on here as well, so I can turn it on and off through this button. But I quite like the idea of that. So what were you had a use case for it?
Yeah, I was thinking the presence thing you can do, present light code you can do for Teams. You could put it outside your door and have it turn red when you're on your call.
That's a great idea, and you don't even need to have it in. You can just put it outside, literally put it outside your door. You don't have to wire it in. You don't have to put plug sockets. I think I've not really used the outside that much yet, but the specs say you get 10 hours of a night light. Now the night light's quite dim, so on this brightness, I'm not sure how long you would get. But if you're using it for that sort of Teams call thing, then you certainly just leave plugging it outside your door is going to be fine. You could charge it up overnight or whatever, and it's USB charging, and comes with a USB charger as well, USB-C charging, so which is good as well. So and it comes with a USB-C charger as well. So and it's got the controls on for brightness and scenes and everything through there. So yeah, so far I've been pretty impressed with that. So I say probably the easiest smart home device I've set up. I think SwitchBot were quite easy, if I remember rightly. But
SwitchBot was really easy. I mean, I must admit, I've had a few Wiz devices, and they're always so easy to use.
So what I'm going to do with the smart plug is replace the D-Link one that's going out of service, that's in the garage currently, controlling the outside lights, the evening outside lights and the Christmas lights. So that's good. That's going on there. But yeah, very impressed with that. Good build quality. Well made. It's not cheap. I think it's about 100 quid, just over 100 quid. But you've got that battery as well. So if you're going for like the outside smart home stuff, if you go for say the Hue ones, they're a lot more expensive than that. Or if you went for say a Sonos portable speaker for the sort of the outside thing, they're all expensive devices. So yeah, I'm quite impressed with that one. The fact that it came with a USB-C charger, I thought was pretty good as well. Just so many stuff now doesn't come with chargers. They may give you a cable, but you don't even get a charger with your phone now, do you? So, yeah, I was quite pleased with that. So yeah, it's certainly if you want something for outside, or like it's got a dim mode there. This is in the night light mode. You can, but yeah, if you want a night light for your child, perhaps, and you can put it in the room, you can control it through your phone as well. So you can turn it on and off, and you can do all the usual smart home stuff. You can set routines, scenes, you can group them together. And of course, everything's controllable through the Amazon device, Google, Siri, Smartthings, IFTTT, that kind of thing. So you've got quite a bit of flexibility on there. But I quite like the Teams idea. I think that's pretty good. But I think as it's going to be nice, so hopefully this week might be able to sit out in the evening a couple of times and take the night light out there and cocktail in the garden in the evening sounds rather nice.
Yeah, and I think I definitely like the colour changing ones as a form of notification. I mean, I'll certainly. I was trying to think of any other use cases I can think of when you're outside. Maybe to tell you when something's finished, your food's ready, or I know your notification with the washing machine, the beep beep beep. You had maybe instead of the beep 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 with the washing machine, you had the beep beep of the microwave.
Exactly. Actually, and that was one thing I actually used. That we had on Sunday. It was nice. So we were out having a barbecue, and some stuff was in the oven as well. And because we were outside, but when the Amazon device detected the beeping of the oven, I knew that the beeping, so I knew it was ready to go in, so we didn't have to sort of check the timer. So, but yeah, maybe that's the thing. You could have this change color with a subtle change of color when things are ready. You can control it, anything like that, because it's all, you can create those Amazon routines, or the Alexa routines, and incorporate that in however you want. So IFTTT gives you a lot of flexibility as well to do stuff like that. So yeah, that'd be quite a good idea, I think, if you're outside and you want a bit of a subtle notification. You could have it change color. Maybe if you're watching watching sports events or something like that, you can have it change color if your team scores. So I know a lot of people use the Philips Hue lights to do that kind of thing. It'd be quite nice. And of course you can do the usual stuff for scheduling as well. It's normal on off times. Yeah, and it's even got a little indicator of the brightness. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, the brightness. It's got a visual indicator on the brightness and everything else. But I found the app pretty good as well. The Wiz Connect app, it's quite a rich app. There's lots of functionality in there. Oh, I'll tell you one thing it does have as well, which a lot of the stuff hasn't had recently, is energy consumption.
Yeah, some of the things I like about this stuff.
Yeah, I can see here, how much energy has been consumed. The D-Link smart plug, the one that's going out of commission, that has that, and I do like that. The newer ones don't, so it's actually quite good. So you can get things like live breakdown per room, energy consumption by day, by week, total amount of kilowatts used, and all that kind of thing. Now, obviously, this isn't going to be very much because it's just an LED light, but the smart plugs themselves are great at measuring that. So if you've got your AV kit on there, or a dryer or anything like that, especially as now we're all talking about fuel costs and energy costs and things like that, if you can start monitoring that, maybe monetizing it to your depending on if you're passing those bills on, because they're nice and small, the plugs as well. So and they're about 25 quid each, I think, so they're not particularly dear. But yeah, just to keep an alert on what's going on, especially maybe if you've got kids that are prone to leaving things on, you can stick that on there. You can show them how much it's costing, and then you can control it as well. So yeah, lots of options.
Yeah, I was impressed with the Wiz app, and generally impressed with stuff. It's reasonably cheap as well. I mean, cost wise, it's not compared to some other manufacturers. I mean, certainly, if you were to buy the same tech, same sort of amount of tech from, say, someone like Philips Hue, you'd be paying an awful lot more money. Yeah, and they do seem to have some pretty nice kit. So yeah, all round, I think I'm impressed, and I'm very impressed with that portable light. I do think I might actually get one of those just to do the presence light thing, because I keep thinking about having a presence light, because it just, when you're constantly in and out of meetings, it's worth people in the house knowing when
it is actually, because the days when I work from home, it's quite often I even get a text from my wife saying, I've made you a coffee if you want to come get it, because she's not quite sure what I'm doing, just because we can't hear it, because I could be on one of those infinitely long calls where I've got the mic on mute but still you're on the call. So how do you get the presence from Teams then into anything that you can use it?
So there is an app called Presence. I'm just trying to find it actually, because I do run it. Presence Light is the app. It's available in the App Store on Windows, and you just have to configure it.
Right, you sign in with your Microsoft account.
Yeah, so I find some of the, because I've got so many tenants I'm part of. It only works on the currently signed in tenant. Is the one, but I do find that some tenants lock it down so they can't get to it, which is a bit of a shame, because I'd like presence more of them. But yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, I might have to check that out, because I only use two. Like you, I only use two tenants, so that'd be quite good for me.
Yeah, for you, I think it will do it really well. So.
Oh, I'll have a look into that. I might then. I'll see if I can get. And then what can you? How do you link that with your sort of smart lights, that kind of thing?
Basically, it supports a load of commands. I'm just trying to actually get it up. It's not behaving for me at the moment. Let's see if I can get it to restart. But I had it linked to a Wiz light switch actually, so I know it will work. And sorry, Wiz socket, so I know that will work.
Yeah, because I could leave the lamp sort of the windowsill outside the room, and yeah, that's quite a good idea. That.
Yeah. So.
Might have to have a look
I'll send you the link,
Yeah.
so you can let everybody else know about
Yeah.
it. It's on GitHub as well, so there's whole sorts of you can change the code if you want to as well. It shows all there. If you're a bit tech savvy like me and Ian, you can go in and change the code. But you can download it from the store as well. So yeah, it's pretty good, and it supports a lot. It supports any light which can be controlled with a get or post call. So if you can, and I think there is an API for most lights, but there's certainly
you can certainly do that with
these ones.
Yeah, you can do it with IFTTT as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll definitely have a look.
And it supports Hue and Ulight and Livix straight out of the box. And then there's OpenWiz as well. So it supports a lot of possible runs straight out of the box.
Oh, I'll definitely have a look at that.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll just send it to you. Actually.
Yeah.
Link. I'm just having problems with Teams not letting me put things in the chat.
Well, I did find it in the store, so I can I'll include a link in the show notes on that.
There we go. Ah, that's better.
So yeah, and there's a Windows app for that. Yeah.
There's the direct link to the GitHub as well, so you can see how Isaac, who wrote it, fellow MVP.
Oh, excellent. I'm gonna definitely check that out.
Yeah, it's a good little program, but I have used it before with one of the Hue lights and also the Wiz sockets to actually turn the lights on off. But I just don't fancy doing it with a portable light because it'd be so much better for where I'm located.
Yeah, it's a good idea. That I think I might actually give that a try, and I'll let you know how I get on with that next week.
Report back in next week. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I was trying some other stuff. Just report back on the. Do you remember that I mentioned about the smart tags? In fact, I've got one of the Samsung ones, which I spent a bit of time with these. I actually found that they don't work at all with the Surface Duo. They only work with Samsung phones. So I didn't mention that when we talked about.
Are they the Plus version or the standard version?
They are the standard version. I think the Plus. Okay. Oh no, the Plus one. No, I can see the little Plus. Yeah.
Yeah. So because the Plus works with ultra wideband, it's not necessarily going to work with any phone which doesn't support ultra wideband.
Right, that was it. Yeah, and I think one of the Pixels has just added ultra wideband, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. I use those tags as well. The one thing I really like about them is the switching on them. The fact you can actually switch things with them.
Yes. So, yeah, you could. I mean, yeah, I could tag tap the button and turn this light on or whatever. Yeah. So
practically, my car keys. If I press and hold it, it opens the gate, which is it's a very useful use of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But I have actually found a very practical use of it today. Actually, one of my young girls decided to pickpocket me this morning, take my house key and hide it in their buggy, which I didn't actually notice her doing. And as I went out the house, it alerted me the fact that I didn't have the key with me, which was really, really useful before I shut the door and locked myself out.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah. Yeah, because I noticed I got the alerts with that, saying your case is out of range or whatever. So yeah, that is quite good that it comes up and tells you. So yeah,
I mean they're very expensive, very expensive, but I think the ultra wideband does add something to them, particularly when you're trying to locate them. That location ability is really good.
So there's just the standard one that doesn't use the ultra wideband, so you get less range, but it works with more devices. Yeah.
That's just Bluetooth only, Bluetooth 4. So yeah, I mean it's the ultra wideband. In some ways, it seems like a bit of a gimmick because it's only giving you that extra bit of directionality and range, but the directionality actually is really useful. It just it gives you that real feeling that you can track things down very easily. I mean, obviously you can always make them make noise, but that doesn't always help you.
Yeah, especially the high pitched noise. Sometimes it can be, although you're supposed to be able to detect range find high pitched noise easier than low pitch, but sometimes I think it just sounds like a noise. Yeah, that's quite a good tip. But so I've got these now, but these are paired up with my Samsung phone, which I don't really carry around with me, so there's not as much use. But still, you can use the button tap thing for them. So they're quite useful for that sort of one click thing with your lights, like turn everything off. I do have like a light up there with a hue switch that I've got turns everything off in here, so you can do that kind of thing. Because all my synths are on I think we talked about it before. Everything's on a smart plug there, so rather than switching everything off one at a time, I just say turn it off, and everything goes off in the room. So which I quite like. So so that's an update on those. I also found as well that there's a Samsung Smartthings app for Windows as well. I know this is not new, but it's I haven't used it before, so I did install that today. And while it obviously can't work with those tags because of the ultra wideband, that kind of thing, you can use it with scenes in your home and those kind of things.
Yeah.
So it's quite useful for that. And of course, you could run the Smartthings app on Android if you wanted, under Windows, because the Windows subsystem for Linux was updated last week with the August 2022 update. Some nice improvements on that. I think, I'm not sure we talked about this last week, but they've improved the compatibility with games with the joysticks and that kind of things, and the arrow keys. So you can your gaming improvements on there. So and I think they've fixed some issues with VPNs and things like that as well. So I think we mentioned this last week, didn't we? Some system seems like one of those great things, but not a huge amount of usage for it yet. We've got a new dev build last week, 25174, which for some insiders, they did the A/B testing, so not everybody got this. It has a new Game Pass widget in the widget menu. Now, I didn't get this. It's funny how they switch these things on and off, isn't it? But I, for example, on the one on the my dev build machine on Hyper-V, the virtual machine on the Surface Laptop Studio, had tab browsing. Then it didn't have tab browsing, and it didn't have it at all until today when I installed the patch, the servicing pipeline testing that they love doing. I installed that today, and it brought back my tab browsing in File Explorer. So they do like switching things on and off. But the Game Pass thing is a new widget there. You can add a widget. And so if you're a Game Pass subscriber, it's a good way of getting into your games. I think it shows you recently updated and that kind of thing. Like I said, it didn't add it for me. I'm not a Game Pass subscriber currently. I've tried it in the past, but I haven't got it. But it's a good idea. It's interesting what Microsoft use that widget board for, whether they, they could obviously create their own ones. And I think there was talk about third parties, wouldn't they, being able to create widgets at some point?
Yeah, there was.
So whether we'll see things like Office 365 ones and maybe third-party ones coming in, because I think I've got the weather. I mean, I only really use the weather, the news ones, and that's about it really. But I think it'd be interesting if you could have, if you've got maybe an Azure account and you can monitor your services on there, or if you're a developer or a DevOps type thing, or if you've got a smart home type thing, you can build a dashboard up there.
I was thinking smart homes and sort of maybe monitoring your car as well. If it's got an API, you could actually get So maybe you could you can click on that and you can see your lights in your home and your rooms and that kind of thing. That would actually make it useful rather than having to
if with Philips Hue, for example, having to either use one of the assistants or pull out your phone and start switching, if you can just go to the widgets and lounge on, lounge off, that kind of thing, that would actually make much more sense. A bit like, I mean, it's a bit like the widgets on Android, isn't it? Your Spotify one, maybe you could have a third party, like one like that as well, so you can see podcasts on there as well. So I'm hoping that comes. But anyway, that's the one. The rest of the things were kind of improvements. There was something, if you're a mouse user, I think if you middle click on the File Explorer link folders, it creates it in a new tab, like it would do if you're in Internet Explorer or Edge or whatever browser you're using. So I think that's good. But again, that hasn't rolled out to everybody. But the rest of the things were fixes. There's still quite a few known issues in there at the moment, but we're not in this mode now that we used to be, where they used loads of known issues and then over time they fixed them and then they released it. Now it's just things get thrown into here, and for the tab browsing could be in the final version. We still don't really know actually whether tab File Explorer is going to be in.
We really don't know what's going to be in the final version yet.
No, because we talked about the updates last week, because as we recorded on Tuesday last week, there was a couple of builds, a couple of updates out. I think we took 22621.450 and 22622 or 450, but they don't include all the features in yet, and the features can be turned on and off. So yeah, we still don't know really what's in 22H2, but I think tab browsing is going to make it in there. But you never know. So I think it's in beta, isn't it? But we'll have to wait and see. So and we still don't know when 22H2 is due to release. Anyway, I did hear a couple of things. They've not officially announced it. I think some of the enhanced printing stuff from Windows 11 is going to make its way into Windows 10 22H2.
Yeah, I'd heard rumors about that as well. Be nice.
Yeah, so it makes sense to do that, but yeah, we still don't have a lot of information on what 22H2 is going to be for Windows 10. I think that's more for enterprises, just having a marker of a supported version that you can roll out rather than the cumulative updates, and then there is a cumulative update marker that you can just roll out and don't have to worry about the individual updates, and that's your benchmark and everything. So for this year, you put 22H2 on of Windows 10, and then maybe there won't be any future major updates. Although it's supported to 2025, isn't it? So I suppose they will continue to do the updates on there. Interesting. I had a conversation actually. I was talking to someone about Windows 11 deployments, and there's a few enterprisey type stuff that still uses a lot of Java apps in the browser. And I think Edge on Windows 11 doesn't really like doing that, does it? Because that's an IE feature that it's not really simple to enable, is it? On Windows 11 with IE 11, Windows 11 Edge doesn't have a lot of the backwards compatibility of Internet Explorer.
No, it doesn't. And I mean, the IE mode and stuff, which is easy to do in Windows 10, is not so easy to do in Windows 11. So.
Yeah. So I wonder whether that's. I usually try to avoid Java apps, and especially browser-based Java apps like the plague at work, but you can't always avoid them, and it only takes one to crop up that it can throw your deployment plans out a bit. So, yeah, hopefully these. I don't know how these companies that are building Java-based web apps, browser-based apps, are gonna. There must be a workaround or a solution for that doesn't require a Java plugin within the browser. Whether there's improvements in the Java framework where they can get away without having the plugin, I don't know. But it does seem very old school to do that. But they still seems to be using it.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah. So that was that was the only update we got for Windows 11 last week, was that one, the dev, and there was a servicing pipeline now, but they do seem to push one of those out every week. I know Richard really loves talking about those, but yeah, there's nothing really to see. You can't you can't see anything with it this week, so with those, so there's nothing you can point to look at those. Right, what else did we have this week? Oh, I've recorded. I did have some new music, but so I included that at the end of last week's show as well. I've got some more stuff to work on. What I'm thinking what I need to get next is some kind of MIDI controller, I think, or USB controller to control all these virtual things. And so I think that's what I'm not going to look at next. Is some kind of like I have got an actual analog mixer here, but like a USB mixer to control the Cubase, that kind of stuff, to give you a bit of a physical control over the virtual stuff.
So are you going to control that from Alexa and use the new wake word? So you can say, "Hey Ziggy, turn on my."
Oh, is that a new wake word?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I thought of you. I mean, to be able to say, "Hey Ziggy, play music," it's going to be cool.
Oh.
And that is available in the UK as well, which the last couple of changes they've made to the WakeWorks system haven't been, and it's now available as of now. I'm not sure if it's only on more modern devices, and I haven't checked all my devices, but certainly the one I've got in here has got it as an optional WakeWord now.
Oh, that's brilliant! That I did make the lads watch we watched the first episode of Quantum Leap, and they were a bit unimpressed with it, and much to my disappointment, it does look pretty dated, but I actually loved it when it was out.
It's good, brilliant there.
And they rebooted it. I don't know it's a reboot or a continuation, but obviously I forgot the actor's name. He died recently that played.
Dean Stanton.
What's he called? Yeah, of course, yeah, brilliant actor. But I know that they are bringing it back, aren't they? So far, and I don't know whether Scott Bakula's still in it, but I think he is, isn't he?
He's guesting in it, I think. I know he's not obviously not. They've got a new traveller, but I understood that he was in at least the first episode somehow. But
that was a brilliant show. That was one of my favourite sci-fi shows of the 90s. It looks very 90s now when you watch it.
It does. It does.
Yeah, it was a 90s show, but I really enjoyed that show.
But there you go. And as you jump to any time period, when it's 90s, it's 90s.
Yeah.
Obviously, you just can't travel anywhere further forward than the 90s.
Yeah. That was a good show. Talking of good shows as well, the one we started watching is the Sandman on Netflix, which is a Neil Gaiman book, isn't it? And we're really enjoying that one, actually. That's got a very good cast. I know it's British centric casting, but it's certainly there's a lot of well recognized British actors in there, from sort of People Do Nothing to Game of Thrones to there's others. There's a great cast in that, but certainly looks like a big budget series as well. But I do like those kind of series.
So I've just noticed also that Alexa is now offering me the option to choose between original voice,
right,
and new voice. Male voice.
Oh, right. That's interesting. I've just checked mine, by the way. Even my oldest Dot allows me to use Ziggy. Mm-hmm. So that's good. Yeah.
So there you go. You can have a male voice and you can call it Ziggy as well.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I like that. They must have done a deal with Paramount or whoever owned that show. I don't know who owns that show anymore.
Yeah, I suppose then as one of the celebrity wake words, because they did that thing at Christmas where you could say "Hey Santa," and it would actually.
I think I'm going to rename my ones. Although then of course you forget that you've done it and then wonder why it doesn't work.
Yeah. I haven't seen many changes to routines or anything recently. Obviously, we had the sound sensing stuff we were talking about earlier, which is good, and is now, I think, I don't think they describe it as experimental now, but it's public preview, isn't it? So you've got snoring, beeping, coughing, water sounds, which is actually really useful. Somebody's tap running, dog barking, and baby crying. Don't have that one quite so much these days.
I think I found the beeping one really useful. Just I think we got a bread machine, and when the bread machine's on, it's nice to get the fresh bread out when it's first, rather than leaving it in there. And if you're in the other room, I don't know, you can't hear it. It's it beeps once, and that's it, and it's very quiet. So, but because it's in the kitchen, so I just get, you know it's due in the next hour or so, and then of course it beeps and it comes up on my watch that I know what that is, and go and grab it. So I know there's other ways of doing it, but you could put a timer on your phone and that kind of thing. But yeah, it just works. I find it really useful, and especially when you're on holiday, maybe if you've got it set up, if there's something unusual happens within the house, you've got that. You've got the audio notification. Yeah. I did find one thing the other night though. There was a bit of a limitation of having all these smart devices. I had a power cut during the night, and the power came back on. But I think it's perhaps because I've got a lot of devices now on my sockets downstairs. The power comes on and it trips that ring off straight away, because I think it's just trying to put everything back on. And you probably need to distribute it around a bit more. And if you manually go and flick it back on, it's fine. So I don't have any problems with that, but it does require that manual flick on. So at some point during either like 2 o'clock in the morning, everything went off. And that's how I get up in the morning, is the bedroom spot. But I did wake up about 4 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know it was 4 o'clock. It was just dark, and the Amazon device was off. So I knew then that the power was off to go down and switch it back on. But if I hadn't checked, I would have had probably a line that day. Whereas I suppose if you're using your phone, you've got a chance that will. I mean, it depends where. I know some people have a lot of power issues, intermittent supply, which I guess that's where the battery technology comes in. Because if you do have, perhaps you're in an older building a long way from a cottage, miles from nowhere, and you get a lot of intermittent supplies, I suppose a battery would give you the chance of smoothing it out, would it?
Yeah, it would do. Yeah, I mean, and batteries would be a good idea. I mean, one of the problems with most battery storage systems is that you can't actually use them to power your house. They without, because they have to have the ability to cut themselves off from the grid effectively, because you don't want. I mean, if you imagine you've got a power cut, the guys are working on the grid to fix the power cut, and suddenly your battery's pushing power back down the grid. That's not going to be a good thing.
Point. Good point.
So they need to be. So only really advanced battery systems actually have that. Some of the new Tesla ones, and there's a couple of other manufacturers which do that. Some of them do actually have sockets you can plug into. So like the vehicle to load socket I've got on my car, you could have a couple of sockets which you can then use to plug other things in to keep you going. But obviously, you really want failover if you're gonna have the ability to do it. So if you've got a power cut, you can actually isolate yourself and do it. And I think that has to be checked out by the local operator as well, the distribution network operator, the DNO as they call them. Make sure it's safe, but but definitely batteries would help. I mean, I've got most of my camera system. My camera system stays on even though if there is a power cut. Although it's sort of Windows based, it's on a battery backup device, on a fairly large scale computer backup, and that also powers the power over Ethernet, which goes to most of the main cameras. I mean, there's a few cameras which don't come on, but the house is covered by the cameras which do come on. So by doing that with power over Ethernet rather than individual things, it was actually made for you could have one central place where you're powering it, and the battery power keeps that going for a good couple of hours actually. So the cameras stay on. So if you want to break into my house, don't try and cut the power to get in, because it still won't work.
The Arlo cameras I've got are battery operated, and they still store the video. Of course, you don't get the alerts because if your network's down.
So my network's also on the same battery backup, so I can still most of the things in the house can still be controlled even if the power's off.
Yeah, the cameras would record it, I guess, but you wouldn't necessarily get an alert to it. But yeah, that is an interesting thing. You got to that's another thing to think about with the smart home security about power sources. But you don't want a simple power cut to render your whole house unsecure.
I'm just thinking about these Galaxy tags, if I can actually start using them to do some automation on locations as well. Because one of the things you can do with the Ziggy we're going to just set people's devices off now. We've changed the name. Is you can actually use the Echo Buds earpieces, which I happen to have, and they can be tracked as well using Bluetooth as well. So you can actually use those to see where you are location wise, which is quite useful. And if you lose them, you can find them again, which is equally useful. But they actually appear in routines, so you can actually trigger routines based on the location of your Echo Buds, and also play sounds in your Echo Buds as well, based on things happening around the house. So that's another useful thing. I just think I wonder if I can somehow, because there is a Smartthings skill for Alexa, which is actually really good. And I wonder if the tags actually appear in that, whether I could use them somehow to.
You could certainly, I'm pretty sure. I bet you could actually, because they do appear within the routines on Smartthings. So I wouldn't be surprised if you could do that.
Yeah, okay.
Because they know that they know their proximity. I mean, they're tied to a device, aren't they, for proximity? But it doesn't have to be your main phone though, because of the way that they work with Samsung. You could just have a Samsung phone.
Yes. Yeah.
An oldish Samsung phone doesn't have to have a SIM card in it. Just sat on your network, just one, and then they will ping. They will get that connected when you bring those tags home. You can pair it with you can pair them with that device, and that shows you at your home then. So you can create a routine from that. Yeah, that's definitely doable, isn't it?
Yeah, lots of things, lots of possibilities there, I think.
Yeah, the buttons on. I think the buttons on them are quite handy as well. Though, like you said, for garage doors or disarming cameras or security systems, it's quite handy.
Yeah. I mean, one of the last things I tend to do at night is I put some keys down in sort of bedside stand, and one of those keys I've got a button on which turns the lights off. that's the nighttime routine now, rather than saying something to Alexa or Ziggy and waking the rest of the household out. So works well.
Yeah, that's quite a good idea. I think that was the other thing with the power cut as well. Is in the Hue devices, you can set what state they return to after a power cut. And I changed most of mine, but my sons have got lights in, and James had done his, I think, but Jack hadn't done anything with his. So when the power came, when I flicked the power back on manually at 4 o'clock in the morning, his bedroom light went on full 100%. It was white. It was someone, what the hell was going on? A blinding light from in his room. But you can set that. It didn't used to be. It used to be default where they all came back on after a power cut. But about a couple of years ago, I think it was, you could have set it so it would return to the state it was in when the power went off, which makes a lot more sense. But yeah, he left it, so he's got this blinding white light at 4 o'clock in the morning. He said, "I wonder what that was good." Yeah.
Well, I've got. We were talking about switchbot earlier, and I've got the switchbot curtain openings and shuts, and I somehow messed up the routines of that the other day. So instead of opening 3 hours after dawn, they were opening at dawn, which wasn't very useful. that definitely woke me up.
And then you've got to get your routines right.
Yeah, you have got. But I did actually do quite a nice routine with that, which is when I open the curtains, it turns the bedroom light off.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
it's one of those sort of obvious things to do, but it's just don't end up leaving the lights on if you open the curtains.
Yeah, I think that the thing I keep thinking I should do and I haven't done is I've got some blinds in quite a few rooms, particularly in the living room. So like in the evening, my house is west facing, so in the evening the sun comes straight in, and perhaps while you're trying to watch TV, sometimes you just want to dip, you just want to shut the blinds a bit, and so you've got to get up and turn them. So I know you can get the little actuators to fit them onto blinds. It's just one of those things I haven't wanted to particularly mess with. But it would be quite handy to have that.
Yeah, I was thinking whether we could actually use one of the switchbot little switches to actually do something with blinds, because they don't actually need much power, do they?
No, that's right. Yeah, they've got a little motor arm, haven't they, just to flick it up and down. Yeah, you could actually. I'm sure. Yeah.
Put sort of like a cam on that to actually just do the.
Yeah, just to move the string up to do the tilting. Yeah. Actually, that's not a bad idea.
because it doesn't need much, does it? I mean, it'd be,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not bad, because what I don't want to do is to modify particularly, or hack the light, the blinds themselves. I don't mind adding a bit of extra on top of it, but like a switch box arm or something like that. But I don't want to start taking the gears apart and trying to fit electric motors to it. I know some people do, and I got a colleague at work who's really into this. Has got all these actuators on everything. So you get the little DC actuators with the I can't remember what chip, the Wi-Fi smart home chip. I can't remember what it is top of my head now. It's like a Pico type thing on them. So yeah, you can just put them on the emulator. I think it said the emulator Hue device, or one of those the sort of the branded smart home devices, but they're a Chinese import little thing that he gets. But yeah, he's got them everywhere, so all these blinds can simultaneously open and close.
Interesting those, actually. If you get a link for those for the show notes at some point, it'd be interesting to have a look at those, because I can think of a few options of things I could do with those.
Yeah, I think Node something. What were they called? Node. I'll try. I'll remember to ask him. And the little Wi-Fi enabled things. There's little chips. So they're very much like a Pi Pico, that kind of small thing, and then you fit an actuator to it. And then the activator, it's a bit like how you were with the switch bot for the blinds. The actuator controls the blinds then. But I just want ones to open. I don't need to pull the blinds up or close it, just to do the tilt. And the arm of the switch bot is probably the closest thing that I think has come to mind now. So I think that's quite a good suggestion. That it's just that little arm might just be enough to tip it. If you maybe just need a little pivot wheel on it just to accentuate it a little bit, but it's not. I said you doesn't need a lot of force for those.
No, I can imagine that. Yeah,
and it's 2-position as well, which is ideal, open or closed. Not a bad idea, that. Well, the first job is to get the presence control set up with the lights. I think that's what I'm doing for my meetings.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
I mean, I it's a shame, because one or two of my clients obviously block access to Microsoft Graph, which is what it uses to get this, which is a shame, because they're the ones I probably would want to use it. But once I do have it on, I have it rigged up to actually do all the lights in the office. So when I switch to a meeting, it switches the light mode, so I get front lighting basically, rather than. So I look better on the camera. Unlike tonight, when I look terrible on the camera, because I'm not in my normal place and I haven't got any decent lighting. But
well, all you'll have to do is get yourself a portable whiz light, so you can place it wherever you want.
Yeah,
and that'll be easier for you then.
Yeah. So, but they work. Yeah.
So I'm going to go and set up my presence lights now. Then, so I've got that ready. I've just downloaded the app, and like you said, it mentions it's got Wiz on there as well as Hue and others. So I'm going to get that set up. So where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Garry with 2 R's WMA, talking about all sorts of things, probably electric cars. Well, yeah, that's a good idea. I could have the Wiz light telling me how charged my car is. That'd be a good state.
Yes, definitely. A little green, red.
Yeah,
you can transition between the colours. Yeah, so
mine would always be green anyway, because I've never seemed to get it below 200 miles range when I'm on day-to-day use. I didn't charge it for 3 weeks, and it's still at 200 miles daily, all my little daily commutes. But yeah, certainly in this temperature, it's been getting very, very good range, up in the high 200s.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, with how the higher temperatures give you better battery life.
They do, but that's offset by the fact you use by aircon usage. It's interesting in this car, because it never on previous cars I haven't done this. When you turn the aircon on and off, the range changes instantly, and you can see the difference. And it actually shows you on its main screen the range you have with aircon and the range you have without aircon. And I mean, last week it was around about 40-mile difference between the two. When we had the super hot day, it was like 80-mile difference between the two. It was noticeable. You realise you were going to have to use a lot of aircon to keep cool. But what's interesting is you can turn the aircon off and have the cooled seats, which is actually pretty effective. and that uses a lot less range. So yeah, it's
Right.
so yeah. So follow me on Twitter to find out all these wonderful facts and figures about electric cars and all sorts of things, smart homes, and
Excellent.
probably tweeting about development stuff a bit more as well recently. So
Yeah, excellent stuff. Well, we should be back same time, same place next week with Rich will be back as well. We'll have we might have some news on 22H2. We can we'll find out. So anyway, I'm at Sticks on Twitter. I'll play out with another track and see you next week.
Yeah, love his music.